In this video, I am going to challenge myself to create the smallest possible zoo habitat in Planet Zoo. But we're still going to follow two important rules. Rule number one, the animals have to be happy, have enough room and have everything they need. And rule number two, of course, we still need the habitat to look amazing, be high detailed and be visually beautiful. The first step is actually finding an animal which has the least required space for a habitat. Unfortunately, Planet Zoo does not include a filter for the least to the most required space of animals. So I had to go through every single habitat animal to find out which one required the least amount of space. And coming up top trumps are two animals, and the animal we're going to be building for is the black-tailed prairie dog. Let's see how well your Planet Zoo knowledge is and comment down below if you know the other animal. The black-tailed prairie dog lives in North America in grasslands and desert biomes. But most importantly, it only requires the land requirement of 180 meters squared. I first used the 4x4 meter floor panels to plan out the area and have a look really of how much space it actually was 180 meters squared. Now, I'm not a genius at maths or anything, so this could be wrong. But the way I worked it out, to find out how much space I had to actually allocate as like a perimeter, I had to find out the square root of 180 meters, which turns out to be around 13.4. So let's say 14 for safety. So that means I had to make a square 14 by 14 meters. So let's stick a null barrier in and let's try out getting a prairie dog in and see if they do actually have enough space in here. Ta-da! I love those gold leaves what fall when you put an animal in a new habitat. Right, Mr. Prairie Dog, have you got enough space? No, you have not. Well, nearly. I think our measurements have worked out. We just need to adjust a few things and alter a few lengths, and we should be okay. We should be all right. And you know me, I love my circle habitats, so I started with a circle path to see if we would have enough space. With the same designated area what we did with the plaster pieces, let's move this over, and no, we've not got enough space. So then I moved on to my second idea, which is half a circle with a path and then create a circle building itself. Well, not a building, like a barrier. So the custom barriers will be circular, and we brought half a circle with a path. Then we can extend it a little bit out with like a hard shelter building and still have enough space for our animals to roam about in. And I've actually got a tutorial on my channel of how to create domes and circular buildings using this method, the mud column method, what you can see me using now. We're going to be using two different barriers. We're going to use mud and glass. The glass is going to be the main viewing area, and then the mud is going to be like more of a backdrop to the actual habitat. But yeah, circular, you know me, I love my circular habitats, and I thought circular habitat would look better when smaller. I don't know why I thought that, but you know, we'll see how it comes out looking, and then you can give me your opinions in the comment section below. So two different barriers, see we're just rotating them around and lining them up, and then just deleting the mud columns in the middle and then grouping everything together, and there we go, we've actually already got our barriers to our habitat. We just need to adjust these how we want them, so I'm going to delete a few to have the hard shelter entrance in, and yeah, we should be good to absolutely go. Again, using the mud column method, we're going to use a second circular building. This is going to be the hard shelter. This time, obviously smaller, we're going to go with the plaster pieces. I don't even know the theme of this habitat really. I just wanted to create something what looked really good. I mean, it does look quite modern with rustic aspects, but I wanted to make something functional and look amazing at the same time, and really test the boundaries of small habitats in Planet Zoo. And with this video, I think I've pulled it off. And if you what was that? If you do like this video so far, is what I meant to say, then hit that like button. And if you're new around here, I create amazing, I'm blowing my own trumpet then a little bit, won't I? They're not that amazing. I build weird Planet Zoo videos like this and show what I create in Planet Zoo, and people like to watch it for some reason. Still blows my mind why. But yeah, I hope you enjoying the video, and if you're new, subscribe. But there is our foundation for our main hard shelter using the plaster pieces. So let's have a recap. We've got the backdrop wall, we've got the glass barriers, which is going to be the main viewing area for the guests, and we've got this hard shelter where you can see me putting a roof on currently, and we're going with a green roof. These pieces are part of the aquatic pack. I've used them a lot in my builds. I think they're absolutely amazing for creating natural foliage roofs. The building itself looks a bit plain to me, so I created this like little design with the conservation pieces. I've done this kind of technique before as well, altering the different lengths and then just duplicating it over to the other side, and then we can rotate it round and have it on every single wall piece of the actual hard shelter itself. And I just think it gives it a unique look, and it gives the impression as well that the animals can't scratch at the actual wall, like kind of like a wall protector, doesn't it? So our prairie dogs can't scratch and ruin the plaster. Finishing off this roof now, you see me jump a little bit there and then, and like I just jumped from doing a roof to doing a trim around the bottom of a building, and that's what I tend to do in Planet Zoo. I kind of get like, I wouldn't say bored, but maybe a little bit frustrated on certain parts, so I'll leave it alone and then I'll come back to it when I've got the energy to do so. So if you do see me jump around from pillar to post, I do apologise. Just finishing off this trim at the bottom here now on the inside of the actual habitat, and then putting a little trim around the edge with the same conservation pieces, conservation wood pieces I believe they're called, what I've been using throughout the build. And then I thought I need a gate. I need to use these mesh pieces to create a gate and give the impression that this area can be separated from guests to privacy for our animals. This is actually going to have a viewing area in it as well, so it's going to have like a private viewing area, one-way glass, doesn't upset the animals. I really wanted this habitat to be functional, you can probably tell, as well as, you know, obscure. The mesh pieces was actually a bit of a pain in the ass to line up. They just wouldn't play ball. It was doing me head in a little bit, I'm not going to lie, and a couple of times I actually nearly give up with this video idea, but I'm happy I didn't give up. Patience and perseverance prevails. I say it a lot, I say it all the time, probably say it too much, but yeah, it definitely did in this video. I was patient and I persevered and it paid off. Again, conservation pieces, the smaller pieces, just lining them up, giving a nice little trim around the top here, and I hiding those jagged edges of the roof as well, because it was kind of doing me head in just poking out, so I wanted to hide them away. We're going to recolor some of the conservation pieces here to black to make it look like metal, because we haven't got metal pieces thin enough and black enough for my liking. So that's what I like to do with the conservation pieces, just recolor them to black so they look like metal even though they are actually a wood. And this is kind of like a sliding door, isn't it? So it looks like it slides up and down to block the entrance of it. So we needed to add some handles, and this piece is the piece I use for handles. Can't remember what it's called, but it's absolutely amazing to look like a handle. I said handle a lot then. Then I realised I need to extend some of the mesh pieces so it looked like it actually fitted if it was to slide down. Realism is key when you're doing high detailed but small habitats like this. And then the trim, so I wanted kind of like a natural looking barrier so our guests can't get right up. I want our guests to get close to the habitat, but I don't really want them to be able to, like, you know, bang on the glass and disturb the animals kind of thing. And I wanted to make it look a little bit better as well, so I added these custom paths with the trim, and we're going to do it all in one. So I'm going to show you quickly how to do something like this. We're going to do, this is the custom path, you guests will still walk over it, they'll walk over any building pieces if you put a path under it. You probably know that by now, but if you don't, now you do. And then I played around with a couple of rocks ideas for the actual barrier, and it didn't really work, so I thought, right, plant it is then. It was just finding a plant fit enough to fit in this small tiny gap of sand. We did though. And then it was just a matter of moving things over and then adding all these together, and then all we had to do, right, was duplicate it over, rotate it around to the right one so it was like literally identical to each other, and then just do the rotation method, what I've shown you how to do already with the mud pillars and stuff in my tutorials on my channel. And then, yeah, group all that together, and then we can delete the parts we don't want, like inside of the hard shelter and stuff like that. And we can cover them pieces with extended plastic pieces later on. But that is like the fundamentals of a custom path, really. And then I thought, right, I need a window in here. I don't know why I thought that. I thought I needed to spruce up this building. It looked too kind of like industrial, and I just wasn't liking it. I wasn't going with it. So I thought, right, more detail. If in doubt, add more detail. And if in doubt, add foliage. So that's what I bloody do. On the other side, we're talking about custom window. We're going to create a custom viewing area here. We're going to use the conservation pieces, and again conservation pieces on this window on this side as well, keeping with the same theme, so same color scheme, so it looks perfect and looks beautiful. I'm actually really happy how this came out looking. I was quite worried how this idea would come out looking, but it turns out I'm pretty good at creating high detail stuff in a small environment, and most importantly, I enjoyed building this. I have been getting bored recently with a couple of my builds in Planet Zoo, but I really did take a step back and enjoy creating this. I've actually got a series going at the moment what I am loving building in, and that's my nootropic zoo. So if you've not seen it, go and check it out. I'm basically creating a modern zoo based in the grasslands of Africa. I'm trying to do it all on the grid, and it's all going to be small habitats like this. This habitat is not going to be in, but small habitats like this, and small buildings, but very high detailed in the grasslands of Africa. And it's going to be very modern and very tropical. Yeah, I'm really enjoying building in that as well. So I've got a couple of projects in what is, you know, piquing my interest. It's keeping me interested in playing Planet Zoo. So I am really enjoying playing Planet Zoo at the moment. Just adding a metal trim, kind of looks like support to the glass beams as well, and just in case, you know, any of those little guests do bag on the glass won't smash. It's kind of like protecting the grass. Again, we're just with the detail in. I know I got over the top a little bit. Right, this is how you close a gap on a path. You use the same plastic pieces what you use, and you just angle it so it covers the gap. And same with this conservation trim here, this curb, whatever you want to call it. Just angling it, just getting it right, can be a bit of pain in the ass and can be very fiddly, but once you've done it and you line it up so it's nice and perfect, you are good to go for the whole of it. Remember, once you've got one piece, you have got them all. All we have to do is move it to the other side, and I thought, right, it's a tiny little gap, so I'm going to turn it on its head, this conservation wood piece, and then I'm going to turn it into a little light. Problem solved. And then we just needed to do the same on the other side and fill the opposite gap. It needs to be the exact opposite, remember. Line it up as best as we can. There we go. And then group these two together after I put in an extra square. You can see me just putting in an extra square there to see how it looks like. But grouping these two together and then just rotating it again to fill the gaps. The side where the hard shelter is and the viewing area, we're going to put a separate path just to highlight that area, and we're going to put the word viewing on the floor, you know, just in case you didn't know what it was, and then put some education boards and some lovely planters to complete the look. And towards the front, we're going to add some lovely foliage and some rock work to the habitat itself for our lovely prairie dogs. Here's a closer look. To the indoor viewing area, I wanted to add like a canopied shaded area for guests. And to the rear, I wanted to do the same with this custom made lovely fabric shaded area. And then I realised the poles were in the middle of the path and our guests would easily trip over them or knock the whole canopy down, which wasn't a good idea, and I loved it that much I didn't want to move it or change it, so I'd give the impression that it was actually bolted to the floor, so if you knock your knee on it or trip over it, it's not my fault. I then had this wild idea to delete a whole glass panel and create a feeding station. Well, it's not practical, they can't actually use it. I wish they could, but it's an idea what I wanted to implement. Where are you? Animals, here you are. Let's get them in, and this is the moment of the truth. Will they be happy here, and will they have enough space to roam about in and be happy? Let's have a look. Let's get one in. Let's see what happens. Prairie dog, let's click on it. Seem quite happy. Let's have a look at your space. And oh no, of course you don't have enough space, because I thought the burrowing area, the habitat item of the burrow, would add space, but it doesn't. So we are a couple of meters off, but not much. I'm sure we can make some changes of this habitat. So here's what we'll do. Let's have a look at the traversable area map and see what they can actually go. Obviously some of the building pieces actually covering up some of the area. It's probably why they've not got enough space. But I have noticed this log and these two rocks do block a lot of space. So let's delete them and retry this. And just like that, they have deleted, and guess what? We've got one prairie dog in and it's got enough space. We did it. We made the world's smallest possible habitat in Planet Zoo for the smallest Have you acquired animal in Planet Zoo? We did it, we smashed it. Just need to change some of the terrain to make sure they are totally happy. Just need to add a little bit more grass and a little bit more dirt and a little bit less sand, and everything should be good to go. I've pulled it off, I've done it. I'm actually quite happy I have as well. At the front, the guests can come in and view our animals at the lovely viewing area and not use the unusable feeding station. At the rear, we've got the lovely modern viewing area. So we did it, we created the smallest habitat possible, and we followed our 2 rules at the start for it to look good, which I believe it does. Hit the like button if you do think it looks good, and most importantly, the animal in there is happy and has got enough space. With that being said, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.